Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of All Things Universal Orlando. Hey everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of All Things Universal Orlando, a show where we're going to talk about, well, exactly that, all things Universal Orlando Resort. We've got a YouTube page set up, an Instagram page set up, a Facebook page set up, and we're going to really try to flood this market for people like you and me that frankly love all things Universal Orlando. What we're going to look at today specifically are the top 5 reasons Universal Orlando Resort is better than Walt Disney World. Now I want to say before we even get started here that in no way do I dislike Disney. In fact, I love Disney. Disney is great. They are the ultimate theme park entertainment complex in the world. No one really compares with them on a global scale, at least not until recently. They were the first to come along on the scene and, well, frankly, change the game. And if you're a guy like me who grew up in Florida and you grew up in the early 70s and the 80s when this was really kind of coming into its own, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've been a season pass holder at both Disney and Universal Orlando, and I've done essentially everything there is to do in both of these parks, with maybe a few exceptions. I've stayed at many of the hotels, though not all of them, and when I weigh the two parks comparatively speaking, I just like Universal better. So I've compiled a list of 5 reasons that I think it's better. There are more than 5 reasons I think it's better. I just gave you the top 5. So let's get right to it. Number 5, the 5th reason that I believe Universal Orlando Resort is better than Walt Disney World is transportation. Let me just say this. If you're planning a vacation to Central Florida and you're weighing I can do one of these parks but not both, transportation becomes a big deal for you because you may be renting a car or you may be taking an Uber or you may be taking a Lyft or whatever your transportation might be. But if you're staying on site in particular, and that's where this is going to focus, Disney's transportation is horrible. Not just horrible, but exceedingly horrible. It's really bad. Now, before I get into the bad of Disney, I want to talk about the good of Disney with transportation. It is available literally anywhere and everywhere they have a place, whether it's an off-site resort, Disney Springs. They provide you with options to get there, and that's great. They're just not real good unless you're staying right there on site in the Contemporary or in the Polynesian or any of those really close boardwalk area hotels. It's going to take you forever to get into a park. Now, I'll grant you the monorail system is undeniably cool, but after you've done it a few times, it just becomes a longer delay before you get to the park. That's what I don't like about that. Nonetheless, it is decidedly cool. And the fact that it goes through the Contemporary is, again, amazing, and you get to see things that you wouldn't normally get to see. But going from park to park is kind of a different story. I challenge anybody to get from any one park to the next in less than an hour using their transportation. Now I'm talking gate to gate. By the time you leave the Magic Kingdom to get on the monorail that takes you even to Epcot, maybe you could do that in less than an hour, but it's so time consuming. And if you're staying off-site, the bus trip to the park, whichever park you want to go to, painfully slow. They just don't have enough buses circulating to provide anyone with what they want, and that is a quick trip to the park. Because once you've had your breakfast, whether at the hotel or not, you're ready to get going. Disney doesn't do a very good job of this, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's a lack of buses, a high expense cost, I don't know, really don't care, because when I'm on vacation, I'm not worried what anybody else is spending, and I'm certainly not worrying what it costs them to provide me these things. I'm worrying about what I'm spending, and time sitting on a bus or on a train from park to park is not time that I'm liking. That's to me money not being well spent. Disney's transportation is not very good. Like I said, it's bad. Universal, on the other hand, has done frankly a great job. Now you might be thinking this is an unfair advantage. Universal is a much smaller area than Disney, and you're right, and I'll take that into consideration, and I have taken it into consideration. Disney has 10 times the number of hotels, 10 times the number of restaurants, 10 times the number of essentially everything. They really do. And it is hard to navigate that. But if you're going to expand like that, you need to take transportation into consideration. And I just don't think they have. Whereas Universal has designed their theme parks around transportation. Every one of their hotels is kind of a branch from the waterway, and if it's not, they've provided you with a quick bus access to any of their 3 parks, and I'm guessing we'll do the same when the new Fantastic Worlds opens. But the best part about Universal and what they've done right with this transportation is the water taxi system. It hits everywhere. You can go from hotel to hotel, from hotel to City Walk, from hotel to theme park. You can go from Islands of Adventure to Universal Orlando, and it's a ride. And it's a great ride too. It's a total immersive thing. You actually feel like you're in the Wizarding World going from place to place. It's an amazing thing. And it takes about 10 minutes. But even if you walk from gate to gate, the proximity of each of the 2 main parks in Islands and Universal is about a 15-minute walk at best. It's just a better way of getting around, and Universal's maximized that. I don't know that I have to belabor that too terribly much, other than to say that the water taxi ride from the hotels to the parks and surrounding areas is a great time. I like it, frankly, more than the monorail. The scenery is gorgeous, the boat ride is nice and usually quick, and every now and again you'll get a charismatic skipper who does a really good job with his guests. It's never really overly crowded, even during peak seasons, and the water taxis travel at a much higher rate than do any of the bus systems that Disney provides. All in all, transportation is the 5th reason that I think Universal Orlando is better than Walt Disney World. Now, the number 4 reason that Universal Orlando is better than Walt Disney World, the Express Pass system. Now, some of you might be thinking this is kind of an unfair, biased assessment, but it really isn't. If I'm planning a vacation, like most people probably watching this video are, you're already spending thousands of dollars. And when you spend that kind of money, you want to maximize your time and your dollar. And I think the Express Pass does that, frankly, better. Now you're thinking, Fast Pass doesn't cost anything. And you're right. But I wish it did, because if it did, then I could benefit better from it. The Fast Pass may be free, but I can only use it 3 times initially. And if I want to catch any of the premier rides at any park I'm going to, I really have to do it months in advance. Well, who wants to do that? I don't want to plan a vacation around a date 3 months in the future that says between 12 and 1 I have to do this ride. That's no good to me. Now, Express Pass is kind of different, and Universal provides some great options with the Express Pass. Number 1, if I stay at one of the premier resorts, which I highly recommend doing, it's part of my fee. It's included in my room price, and I can use my room ticket, my card, as a way of getting in the express line. Unlimited, as many times as I want, as frequently as I want. It's just awesome. It's a game changer for the vacation. And like I said, it's included in the price of my hotel room. But if I don't want to pay or stay at one of the premier resorts, or if I can't afford it, I have another option. I can actually buy an Express Pass day of, and it ranges anywhere from $69 to $89. And I'll grant you, that's pricey when you're already paying double that almost for a park ticket. But it is a game changer. And on a busy day, its value is, well, hard to say, really, because that depends on the individual. But it's something to be said about walking in that express line when there's a 60 or 70 minute wait for Kong or what have you, and you don't have to endure that. There is a value to that, and I like having that as an option. I would much prefer that than the Fast Pass option that Disney provides. But Universal also offers you, even without the Express Pass, the virtual line. It's available at Jimmy Fallon and I believe Fast and the Furious. And I know it's experimental and they might not be going with it, but it's working over at Volcano Bay. And I think we might see something like that even come in as an option. And again, even that's better than the Fast Pass system, in my opinion. So the number 4 reason that I think Universal Orlando is just better than Disney, the Express Pass option. Number 3. Now, a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but this is just my opinion. And I'm willing to have this argument. Universal's theming is just better. That's what I said. Universal's theming is better than Disney's, certainly for the new attractions. I get it. I hear what you're thinking. You're saying, wait a minute. Pandora is amazing theming. Man, it most certainly is. And I know what you're thinking. Galaxy's Edge, when it opens up, is going to be even better. And you're probably right. But that very point kind of makes my point that says Universal is better. 10 years ago, or however many years it's been since Universal brought us the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Disney was put on notice. No one disagrees that for total immersion, that Diagon Alley and the Wizarding World over in Islands is top of the line, better than anything. Now, Disney had to respond to that because so many people were flooding Universal to see these amazing things. And they were worth it. You get into Diagon Alley and you can't see anything other than Diagon Alley. And when you're in the heart of Hogsmeade, that's really all you can see, and you feel like you've been transported. And Universal was the first to do that in a way no one else ever had. Disney had tried to do that with Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom. Remember, they changed all the things and you had all these metallic trees and all of these things, but it still didn't capture it, not anywhere close to the way that Universal has done it with the Harry Potter areas. Now, Disney realized that they were being surpassed, and what they had to do was create Pandora, which is amazing. My problem with Pandora is Avatar that big of a thing? And the answer is no. The fan base is nothing there. There's only been one movie, and it was good, but I don't know that it was any better than good. And now Disney owning the rights is going to make more movies, of course, and probably they'll do with Avatar what they've now successfully done with Star Wars, and that is saturate it so much and make such mundanely average movies that it's kind of lost its edge, at least for me. I grew up with Star Wars, the New Hope and the Return of the Jedi and The Empire Strikes Back. I mean, I was in my early teens during that time, and that was a great time. But then the next 3 movies came out, and then the next 3, and now the next 3, and I'm like, guys, leave it alone. It's great as it is. You're going to destroy it. And they pretty much have. But they needed to do that to make Galaxy's Edge the thing that it's most likely going to be. And I'm looking forward to seeing it, make no mistake. So hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Disney's theming is bad, by no means. Disney themes fabulously. Great theming. There are tons of examples of great theming at Disney. I'm just saying that as of the past 5-10 years, Universal's better. Even down to their queues, and we will most certainly be doing a top 5 queue for Universal coming up at some point. But think about things like Springfield. You really feel like you've been transported into this cartoon world. Or how about the queue at Spider-Man, where you actually feel like you're in a comic book newsroom? Men in Black, where it's pretty believable from the standpoint that you're in the Men in Black hub, or whatever you want to call that. And now opening up the backstage tour with that, and I've done that, and you should ask because it's worth doing, makes it even better. Now, there are areas where Universal misses on theming. I don't think there's anything special about the queue for the Simpsons ride. It's just a line, and that can be said for other areas as well. Rip Ride Rocket, what have you. But when you look at the Hulk and all of these other things, how about the queue in Confrontation? How's that for old school? How about the queue at Kong Skull Island? That's an amazing queue. But even go back to Confrontation for those of us who have had that experience. You felt like you were in a subway. It felt real. And that's an amazing thing. Theming, hands down to me, Universal's better. But I'll take that even to the hotel side of things. I've stayed at the elite hotels. I've stayed at almost all the hotels. And after this year, we will be staying at the new Aventura. And what I can tell you is, their theming's better. Again, it's just better. I mean, I think the Royal Pacific has some of the best theming I've ever seen. You actually feel like you're in a 50s American setting in the South Seas. The plane sitting there on the water, the beach environment, the nature of the rooms, the music that's playing, the ambiance. It's an amazing hotel. Even the restaurants are themed beautifully. Now, they're not the best restaurants in the world, I'll give you that. And there is somewhere where I'd have to say that Disney does better than Universal. They just have better restaurants across the board. But the theming of the hotels is amazing. If you've ever been able to see the Portofino resort that Lowe's has put together for Universal. It's kind of like being immersed in Italy. I've been to Italy. I've seen actual piazzas, been there. And they do a great job of capturing that. But you could talk about this forever. That's a whole nother different thing. But the number 3 reason that Universal Orlando is better than Walt Disney World, just better theming. Number 2, the number 2 reason that Universal Orlando is better than Walt Disney World, better rides. Maybe not better, more thrilling rides, that's for sure. Even Universal realized this and maximized on that opportunity with a recent commercial, and I'll put an excerpt of that right here.
I think it's time we take things to the next level.
Kids grow up, so do vacations. 3 theme parks, 5 resort hotels.
I'm ready.
Are you?
See what I'm saying? They recognize that Disney caters to a young crowd. And Universal's done a great job of seizing that opportunity and capturing from that kid 12 years and over. And they've surpassed Disney in great magnitude. Disney really has, in my opinion, 2 rides that I would consider remotely thrilling. Rock and Roller Coaster is a thrilling roller coaster, and it's good. And the Tower of Terror is a thrilling ride. There's no doubt about that. But other than that, I don't know that thrill is a word I can use to describe anything. Maybe you're thinking, wait for the Tron coaster. Well, okay, I will. But they don't have it yet. And maybe you're thinking, well, what about Space Mountain? You forgot about that. No, I didn't. You take the roof off of Space Mountain, and you have a roller coaster that you could find at a state fair. I don't think there's anything thrilling about it. In fact, I think it's a bad roller coaster. It's choppy, it's not smooth, it's not that long, and it's really not that good. In fact, I don't even ride it anymore. I've done it so many times and been so unimpressed every time. But even Disney has competition with itself on there because everyone in the world likes the theming of Disneyland Space Mountain more than they do the one here in Orlando. Anyway, I don't have to belabor that. The just rides are better, whether it's Rip Ride Rocket or the Hulk, even Doctor Doom's Fearfall, when you're out in the open being shot up into the air at whatever speed, is terrifying and in a great way. Plus, it gives you a great view of everything. It's one of my favorite rides there. But how about Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey? That's an amazing ride. It captures everything. It's a state-of-the-art movement, and it is absolutely thrilling. And the same could be said for Diagon Alley. Now, I would say that Spider-Man isn't thrilling per se, but Disney doesn't have anything like it. And that's saying something. So maybe they're not better rides, but they're more thrilling. So before we get to the number 1 reason, let's recap the 4 we've already looked at. Number 5, transportation. Again, Universal's just maximized their advantage of having a smaller area to work with, and they've done it beautifully. Number 4, the Express Pass system, just better, more options than the Fast Pass one. Number 3, better theming. Top to bottom over the past 10 years, there's really no comparison. And number 2, the rides are just better, more thrilling. Maybe I shouldn't say better, maybe that's not fair. But they are more thrilling, and they appeal to a much wider audience. So that brings us to this. The number 1 reason that Universal Orlando Resort is better than Walt Disney World? Well, before I tell you, I think that a lot of you are going to be like, well, the sales just came out of that. That's not so thrilling. Big deal. It is a big deal. Here it is. The number 1 reason, it's a much better value. Not just much, but exceedingly better value. Some of the price comparisons are astounding. Now, if you live in Orlando, this might not be the same kind of impact, but if you're traveling to Orlando and planning a vacation, it's a huge impact. And see, that's why I'm bringing this as the number 1 thing, because people travel from all over the world to come to Orlando. For example, let's just take 2 premier hotels, or resorts if you want, and I'll use a similar theming. We'll take the Royal Pacific, which I'm going to tell you is my favorite resort in all of Orlando, whether Disney or Universal or downtown, wherever. The Royal Pacific. And we will compare it to its counterpart in Disney, the Polynesian. They are both themed around a South Seas environment. There's a little difference. Royal Pacific is themed around a 50s vibe that was happening during that time, and the Polynesian isn't. But the theming you'd think would be similar, and on some levels it is. And where Disney, I think, has maximized on different colors and vibrant, kind of a Hawaii-looking feel, and it's a great feel. The Royal Pacific has done something different. They've taken actual things from Bali and brought them into play, and it's amazing. The new room renovations are outstanding. The bathroom is frankly the best hotel bathroom I think I've ever been in. The shower alone in the remodeled rooms is worth the price. But the rooms are great. The lobby is great. The woodwork, the frog theme is just really amazing. When you walk across that bridge and you're going into the lobby, there's really nothing like that, if I'm honest. I get that. It's almost, for me personally, now it's my favorite hotel, almost the same feeling I get when I used to see the castle walking up to the Magic Kingdom. But I like this just as much. It's a great feeling that I have when I get there, and they've captured it in this hotel. Now, the Polynesian does some great things too when you get off the monorail and walk in. I mean, it's just, what's better than that, right? I mean, it's a great hotel. So they're both great hotels, and I'm not diminishing the value of the Polynesian. Or am I? Well, I am. Let me give you an example. Universal offers you something they call a stay more and play more rate. And what it basically is during non-peak times, say September, for example, which is a non-peak time for either park, if you stay, I think, more than 5 days at any of their resorts, you get a lower rate. So if you're staying at the Royal Pacific, the rate numbers I have, it's under $200 a night for a party of 3. It goes up a little bit more if you add a 4th person. But still, in that $200 ballpark, all 4 of your guests get an express pass option, which if you value that at $89 is what I think it costs for that value, times 4, that almost makes the extra price worth it, doesn't it? And that is about $200. Disney doesn't really offer that kind of a thing, and if you want a room in September during that same time at the Polynesian, you're going to pay $600 and some. And if you tie it into weekends, it goes up. That's insane to me. That's 3 times the price for what I think is a lesser hotel. Now, you can disagree with me on that, and that's fine. But the benefits that come with staying at the Premier Resort at Universal are better. And I think that's just the way it is. Ticket prices are pretty common and pretty similar. A one-day ticket at Disney's $124 for one park, whereas at Universal it's $110. But the park hopper is comparable, right in that $165 range. But then when you get to annual pass numbers and things like that, an annual pass, the Premier Pass for Disney, I believe they call it the Platinum Plus Pass. You ready for this? $994. Universal's version of the same thing is $733, but that also offers you one night to Halloween Horror Nights. It gives you discounts in parking. It gives you discounts. The 10% discount at City Walk restaurants and everything that's for sale at Universal is amazing. Now, Disney's passes offer you some perks too. There's no doubt about it. But I don't think for $1,000 it's worth it. I just don't. As a Florida resident, what I would do is get the Florida resident pass at Disney because it's a little bit cheaper. But I would still get their Premier Pass at Universal because of what it offers. Halloween Horror Nights is the biggest thing in Orlando in October. It kills Disney's efforts. It kills Busch Gardens' efforts. It's the biggest thing that there is. People travel from across the world just for that. So to have that included in my annual pass is worth it. I think also that it's worth saying that the restaurants at City Walk also are substantially less expensive than the ones you find at Disney Springs. Now, there's not as many of them and the options are not as good. There's no doubt about that. But I can go into Cowfish and have a burger for $15, $16. That's hard to do at any restaurant, frankly, and they've captured that. NBC Grill offers some pretty good food for the value. Frankly, all of the restaurants do. But think about Red Oven, just for example. You could go buy a couple of pizzas for under $30 there and feed 4 people comfortably. I just think that they've done a better job of maximizing the value for your money. So if you're traveling from out of state or out of the country, Universal might give you more bang for your buck. And I think you'll have a better time. And you'll have a better time for thousands of dollars less. Just something to consider. So those are the top 5 reasons that I think Universal Orlando Resort is better than Disney. Stay tuned for more videos. Hit like and subscribe. Remember that sharing is caring, and hit the bell notification so you can know when we post new videos.